Have you been enticed into the world of internet lutherie? Have you been persuaded to buy expensive tools by some bold tattooed bloke from England? Did you enter an international guitar building competition with no experience? Then you may be entitled to a new guitar, built by you. Hi, I'm Andrew and I built this guitar for the Great Guitar Build-Off 2021. Today we're going to have a close look at my completed guitar, the good bits, the bad bits, and the problems that still need solving. Whilst we're doing all that, I'll play you some music I've written on my new guitar, the No Idea. Let's get stuck in. I need to preface this by saying I love this guitar, I really do. Visually it turned out almost exactly as I designed. I've found it difficult to put down and my fingers are sore. I haven't played this much guitar in a long time. The bad bits. The headstock. I decided I wanted to try and get an angled headstock out of my neck blank without making a scarf joint. Having drawn it out in CAD, it was possible to get an angle of 5 degrees, allowing the strings enough of a break angle that they would sit nicely in their slots. In reality, this was way too close, and the high and low E strings kept slipping out of their slots. The problem was accentuated by the very slim fretboard, as this meant that nut would need to be lowered even further to have a decent string action. I've resolved this now by using a string retaining bar. This has allowed me to lower the nut and action. I will need to lower this further, but that may involve recessing the headstock plate a little further. The lesson here for me is to ensure that the headstock angle is steep enough to give the strings a break angle over the nut. A lesser issue that I had with the headstock was a sizable chip out that happened whilst routing the shape. I was able to glue the bits back on, but unfortunately the join is quite visible. The truss rod. I have a very slight rattle because during the second glue up of the fretboard, I forgot to pack it out. Not sure if this can be resolved, but it's barely noticeable. The neck screw ferrules. The holes for these were way too tight, and I won't be removing them without breaking something. This was a bit of an issue as I impatiently put them in before putting a finish on the body. There's a very slight crack in the wood next to one of them due to the tightness of fit, and you can see that the finish doesn't quite cover all the areas it needs to cover around each ferrule. The pillar drill press stand. I got this stand from Facebook Marketplace for a £5 and it is not sturdy enough for precise work. There is significant wobble in it. It's okay for hogging material out, but drilling the bridge pins was a nightmare. The hole for one was drilled too large due to the wobble, and it couldn't reach the other. In the end, I had to epoxy the pins in. The wiring. I have lost count of the number of times I have rewired this guitar. Initially, I had a persistent low output problem. It eventually turned out that the quality of the soldering or an imperfect ground was an issue, and I've managed to resolve that. I had to replace the push-pull volume pot with a conventional pot, as I seem to have wrecked it by flooding it with solder. I am yet to have a functional tone pot. Most likely this is, again, a soldering issue as the readings for the pot are fine. Also, the coil split for the bridge pickup is stuck on single coil. I'm sure I'll resolve these issues eventually, but I'm kind of regretting the conductive paint in the control cavity now. That stuff gets everywhere. The control cavity cover. This was a piece of teak taken from some offcuts left over from my reclaimed kitchen. I decided to carve my name, the guitar's name, and GGBO 2021 into the back side. I also painted it with shielding paint and tried to fill the carving with some paint. As you can see, I have since removed the shielding paint because it looked terrible. The good bits. I love the shape and deep carves of the body and neck. It's as good, if not better, than I planned in the design phase. That I was able to get the main body carve as clean and precise as I did is a matter of some amazement for me. I love the overall aesthetic of the guitar. It ticks a lot of boxes for me. The chrome hardware, naturalistic staining and abalone inlays seem to work really well together. I'm very happy with the recessed and carved truss rod cover. For a spur-of-the-moment decision, it worked out very well. I like that the sweep of the carve echoes the main carve on the front of the body. The inlay at the 12th fret is almost perfect. Because I was using a very thin 0.25mm abalone sheet, you can tell where the recess was too deep and the abalone sank below the superglue as it is darker in these spots. Even with this, I think it looks great. The carve on the back. I still have no idea where the muse for this came from. I was just trying to hide a router mishap. The carve evolved as I did it. I guess necessity is the mother of invention. It also informed the slightly worn look of the black stain on the rear and is one of my favourite parts of the guitar. The finish is exactly how I hoped it would look, if not better. Just not how I anticipated it would be done, mind you. However, I suspect that Indian ink was probably a better option than using iron oxide to stain. I would have preferred to get more time to put more coats of Danish oil on though. The action may be a little higher than I'd like, but generally is very easy to play and holds tuning really well. The specifications. The body seems to be a maple top on no back, although the top may actually be ash. The neck is sapele. The fretboard is Indian rosewood, with stainless steel frets and abalone inlays. The side dots were glass beads from my wife's craft kit. The headstock plate is flamed maple from Feel Good wood. The locking tuners are Northwest Guitar's own brand and seem to be excellent quality. The pickups were found in a local music shop and seem to be knockoffs of Damasio Super Distortions. The chrome covers came from Northwest Guitars. Switching comes in the form of a push-pull volume pot that activates a coil split on both humbuckers, with standard three-way switching to select bridge, neck or both pickups. It has a tone knob, but it doesn't work yet. It will. It will. So, do I like the guitar I built? Hell yes. Is it perfect? Far from it. Do I care? Nope. So I guess the question is, will I build again? Most definitely. In the GGBO 2022? Maybe? Do I know what I'll be building? I think so. How does a short scale Warwick thumb style bass made from reclaimed teak sound? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and thanks to everybody who have supported my efforts in the GGBO. Those who've commented and liked my previous videos have given me a great boost during these trying times, and I am most grateful. So, I look forward to seeing what all of you create, and hopefully I'll be able to join you. See you next time.